This is the bonus video for my bike trip in the Netherlands, and it's going to be a bit different than the previous 6 videos. This is the extras, the deleted scenes, the things that I wanted to talk about but didn't really fit into the previous video. So this is by no means the whole footage collection that I took in the Netherlands on my trip, because that would be hours long. It's insane. I think there's like over 500 gigabytes of footage, it's just ridiculous. So this is going to be a relaxed commentary on some of the extras and the highlights that I wanted to talk about, but for the sake of time, I didn't have it. So this is that. If you want that experience, here we go. So this is day number 1. Arrived in Amsterdam, tired as fuck. Gotta find me a bike. So here, this is this busy street, and this is where I actually had that photo. There's that photograph I had overlaid of this street that used to be packed with cars and now has, space for people. It's got the tram lines down the middle. It's not completely choked with traffic anymore. There's bike lanes, but the thing that you can notice in the background there's actually a truck, like a big truck in the bike lane. And these are these flex bike lanes. And you'll see here as I pan the camera in the other direction, there's another van down the way. And this is something I saw quite a lot. And those ones I think are particular for that. I think they're meant for that. Whether or not that's a good thing, that could be argued, because people are going around those, they're going to end up in traffic, which can be a hazard if as opposed to if it wasn't there. So that is what it is. But I just wanted to point that out. That was something that I saw relatively frequently. This next thing is something that I also saw, and I did mention, I think, in my second day, but this is the first time I caught on film this thing. So here you can see it coming along towards me, which is a microcar. And these things are really cool. I saw them pretty often, I would say. And these are great just for people who need them, right? This is a great argument to the people who say, hey, what about the people who can't ride a bicycle? Well, here you go. The things I don't like about these things is a lot of them use gas. And that was the thing I mentioned in the day 2 video when I was trying to stay ahead of one, because I knew it's like a 2-stroke engine or something. And it only goes like 25 kilometers per hour. And something related to that is the Snorfiets and Bromfiets, what we might call a moped, a scooter, or a motorbike, which are allowed on many of the bike paths. And to be completely honest, I hate these things. They are loud and smelly and can ruin an otherwise lovely ride. They are quite rare in North America and are not allowed on bike paths, at least here in Vancouver, BC, but that doesn't stop them, though like I said, they aren't common at all. In the Netherlands, you'd be lucky to go on a ride and not cross paths with them. Fortunately, some cities plan on banning them completely in the coming years, which will be great for the cities. Next is, oh yes, IKEA. This is in day 1, and I was heading towards Haarlem.
All right, we did it.
I'll let myself have a commentary.
We're really doing it, people. We're here at IKEA. Had to get some lunch.
I actually did get some lunch. I wanted to just see what it was like inside of an IKEA. You can see me here. This is just parking my bike at the corral. And yeah, it was just like any IKEA around the world. They're pretty much the same as far as I know. But, yeah, anyway, what's the next thing we got here? Oh, yes. This is what I like to call the Dutch Boost. This is something I saw all the time. It would be a parent usually with a child, and they would be riding along beside one another. And yeah, just to help them give a boost. It's just a way for parents to help their kids get around a little bit faster when they need to get to where they're going. I thought it was interesting. Holy shit, look at this. This is a 60 kilometer per hour, I don't know what you call it, a highway or whatever, along the seaside. It has a raised pedestrian crossing. Maybe multiple. It looks like there's more down the way. But yeah, these drivers are supposed to yield for pedestrians and cyclists. And this is something you'll have all over the place in cities. But what I found interesting here is that it was actually outside of a city, which would be like a country road.
Small bump.
And here we can see people
no yields.
Not yields. I don't know if they're supposed to or not.
I feel like it.
No idea, but
like
it still worked out fine. These bumps are supposed to slow down cars. And at least here, I don't think you get people going much faster than 60 kilometers per hour.
Hi. Hi. How are you?
Fine.
Beautiful day.
It is.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah. Was it bad for a while?
For months.
Oh. I just got here this morning, so I'm
This was in the
best of
national
it.
park near Zandvoort.
Oh yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah. Well, I came from Montreal and it was the opposite. It's like 35 degrees, just like You can't go for a walk, you're just soaking sweat. Yeah.
You don't have that problem over here.
And this is the next thing I wanted to talk about. So in the series, I mentioned food a few times. Like I went to McDonald's to check it out. I went to Mannequin Piss. I don't know if I mentioned it, but you know, I had fries with cheese sauce or cheese or with mayo and their ketchup. Most of my meals were actually just from the grocery stores. I go to Albert Heijn or whatever grocery store was nearest me. Usually pick up some meat, some cheese, maybe some bread. I did actually have a lot of frikandel whatever. It's the frikandel with inside the pastry, which is something that I ate quite often from the grocery store because it's cheap. I loved it. But anyway, on to day 2. And day 2 is when I was going from Haarlem to Delft along the seaside. And it was long, but man, I got to show some more footage because it was so beautiful. On day 3, I went from Delft to Gouda through Rotterdam. And what's this footage I have? Oh, yes. This is in Delft. And what a beautiful place. This is day 2. Come on. And I thought I was trying to capture a nice shot of the bicycles and people going by in the background with a shot of this cappuccino. Oh, I love cappuccino. They poured a nice one. That's some good latte art there. But what do we got here?
See these sensors here?
Ah, yes.
Notice that I'm coming.
Okay. I got to pause here. This is when I tried to make a masturbation joke, but also be educational at the same time. But anyway, pointing at these sensors on the ground that let the traffic control system know that I'm coming, knows that a bicycle is coming.
They notice that I'm coming. There's also another one up here closer at the light that I'm going to step on. And then here, you'll see a Wacht turns on. And then there's a timer up there. And you can see it slowly counting down. And then when it turns off, that's the best part.
Yeah, that was the stupid joke.
Oh,
It was a whacked off joke. That was the stupid, dumb joke that I was like, I'm not putting this in my video. So for you who watched the bonus video, this is the content you get to experience here on the Patreon.
There we go.
But this is a very wide motorway. And as you can see, I had the green. This car was like, and the difference here between this and what you see in the Netherlands, or sorry, we see in North America, is that something this wide often might not even have a good way to cross, even as a pedestrian or a cyclist. But this one has islands in between, so you can actually stop in between.
Oh my God!
Stop in between the big wide lanes.
This is how to disentangle car traffic from bicycles. You put the bicycle track underneath the road so that you get the downslope, give you momentum, and go back up.
And that's a big part of how the flow, how you keep flowing on a bicycle and in cars in the Netherlands, is that so many times at intersections aren't intersections anymore. Overpasses and underpasses, and the underpasses, like I said, give you a boost to get back up that hill instead of, cycling up a hill and getting the boost down into, somewhere you need to slow down or stop. Something else I really appreciated is just how seriously they take cycling as a legitimate form of transportation, obviously, but another sign of that is how they build detours, not just for cars when there is ongoing construction, it is there for bicycles as well, even here on a country road around somebody's house. And here we go. This is getting close to Gouda, crossing this cool little bridge along this shared, this is a bike path, and then this next one I get to is a shared
Holy shit, this is cool.
street, I would say. I think I put a small bits of this in my videos.
Peeling away from the highway, the busy stizzy highway. Nice, chill, cool backwaters along some old farmhouses, or new ones, I suppose. Beautiful, just beautiful.
I came back to this area the next day when it was not raining to do some drone footage, kind of up the way, maybe a kilometer or two straight ahead. And that's where I got that drone footage. But next is day 3 from Gouda to Utrecht and going through Houten. I don't think I had anything extra from Houten. I really exhausted Houten. I love that place. Oh, and here, this is where I was along a 60 kilometer per hour, you would call an edge lane road, which is not great. Definitely not great. And I went over to the other side of the canal where there was a shared narrow street where everybody else was cycling. And it was funny because, well, here.
It's weird. Google keeps wanting me to go onto the edge lane road on that side instead of taking this way, even though this is definitely the bike.
Yeah, Google kept telling me to go onto the side that was crappier and the place you wouldn't want to be. One, everybody else was biking on the other side. And somebody had recommended me a different app to use instead of Google after I did this trip, right in the comments, that apparently is better for navigating bicycle infrastructure. Sometimes these paths have speed bumps like this, and though they look kind of aggressive, they're kind of fun. And I think this is just before getting to Houghton. But I suppose if you're going really fast, you might get bucked off your bike. And next is day number 5, which was spent mostly in Utrecht and headed to Amsterdam. Before that, it was actually in the middle of the night. So if you remember, I had this hostel that was outside Utrecht, and there was a toilet seat on my pillow. It was disgusting, and I left, went to Bunk, which is downtown Utrecht, really close to the station along that canal. So Bunk is a hostel, but it has capsules. I was going to bed at around 1 a.m. It's dark. And some guy was on his phone, talking so loud, yelling into his phone, talking to somebody. And somebody was telling him to shut up. I don't know what happened. The one guy who was telling the other guy to shut up, basically, I don't know if he touched him, was like, hey, man, stop it. Like, there's people trying to sleep. And you can hear what was happening.
Don't touch me last time.
Don't do it again or I'll throw you out.
Last time, show me out. Yeah. Let's go out if you want. That's fuck, man.
Just a loser, just an asshole. Anyway, this is during the day, and you can see where cars get stuck along some of these narrow streets as people can filter through, which is still nice that it's possible to do that when you're on a bike or on foot. This is another reason not to get a car. But can we just take a moment to appreciate these beautiful streets? Oh my God, just lovely. I loved Utrecht. I would definitely live there if I could. Which another thing to look at is some of the footage I got. I didn't use a ton of the aerial footage that I took in Utrecht along this intersection. This is along that one of the busiest paths in the city, in the Netherlands, I think. And this is like, if you went and looked to the right just slightly, would be that bicycle parking at the station. And I'm flying right above this empty construction site, just an empty lot at the moment when I'm flying here. But look at how many bicycles there. It's insane. It's beautiful. I loved it. Oh my God. I can't wait to go back. I'll be back eventually. But day number 6, so I went to Amsterdam. I spent some time in Amsterdam, and I might have lied a little bit. There was a fib that happened here. It didn't happen the way I portrayed it to happen. I did go and drop my bike off in Amsterdam. However, the whole cowboy e-bike riding thing didn't actually happen that day. It happened in the last day I was in Europe, almost 2 weeks after that final day of my bike trip. So I went to the UK, I went to Paris, I went to Germany to visit my friends, and I met up with my wife there. And then we all went to the Netherlands, spent some time in Amsterdam and Breezand near Middelburg. But on that last day, when I came back to Amsterdam to fly out, and that's when I went to the store to actually ride that electric bike around the city. But so I'm sorry for lying, but that's just, trying to make a better narrative. That's what I wanted to and keep that in there. But anyway, the one thing I did see on day 6, and I didn't include, was this bicycle that just got wrecked. Obviously, this is all rusted. Where do you think it was? It was in the canal, and it was retrieved from the canal. What I found out is that a lot of bikes get thrown into the canals every year and get retrieved. It's quite fascinating. This is one of those dead bikes. And one big bonus extra thing that I did when I was in the Netherlands was actually drive. So when we went down to Breezand from Amsterdam, we took a car. We actually drove, and I blame my wife for this. She booked this portion of the trip. And if I were to do it again, I would have at least gotten as close to our destination as we could on train before getting the car. Honestly, we could have just taken the train to Middelburg and gotten a lift from our friends to Breezand. But that being said, this was a great opportunity to experience driving in the nation with the world's most satisfied drivers. So I was planning on making a dedicated video about driving the Netherlands, but most of my footage consists of this view, and I didn't even drive enough to really get the real picture that I felt like was necessary to make a video. But I do have some notes. So right off the bat, I found driving here to be much better than driving in Canada or the United States. First of all, we have to talk about the smart traffic lights. Much like the bike sensor I talked about earlier, there are sensors in place to anticipate traffic. And this alone takes the W. There's no more waiting for a green light at an empty intersection. It's just crazy. You can just be approaching a red light and it'll turn green before you get there if there's no other traffic in other directions. It's fantastic. Also, roundabouts. Now, we have our fair share of roundabouts in Canada, but one place they are severely lacking is country road intersections. And these are much safer than 2 or 4-way stops. And again, they flow way better. Just impressed by how many roundabouts there are when driving in the country. Also, driving on the highway was interesting. They do take their speed limits seriously. Everyone driving at like 100 kilometers per hour on the dot or whatever the speed limit was fascinating, and I'm sure helps traffic flow. Like, for example, I was in Toronto just recently, about a week and a half ago, and I was driving on the 401, and that's North America's busiest highway, and I was going 110 in a 100 zone, and I was being passed by everyone. Some cars surely flying over 130 because traffic enforcement in Canada is a joke. And speaking of which, I got a little souvenir from driving in the Netherlands, an automated ticket for going 5 over the limit on the highway. And I think it was 30 euros or something. It wasn't a lot, but that is a big incentive to keep under the limit. I mean, if I ever drive there again, which I don't plan to drive there again, I'm going to definitely keep the speed limit. And this is something we should definitely implement in North America, in my opinion, to keep our roads safer and help the flow. But on my last day, I drove from Rotterdam to Amsterdam on a Monday morning and experienced rush hour. And to be honest, it wasn't too bad. It was pretty good on the highways. There was a little bit of congestion, but again, there were signs showing the speed limit, which wasn't 100 kilometers per hour anymore. It was like 50 or something, and it flowed fine. It was just slower. It didn't come to a standstill. But driving in Rotterdam and Amsterdam was very chill. And what I found was that the design of the streets really helps keep the speeds low. Like, I never felt comfortable going over the speed limits, and sometimes even under. I remember there was a street, and I think it was a 50 kilometer per hour zone in Rotterdam, and I was like, I don't even feel comfortable going 50, which is great. And I think one of the biggest things about driving the Netherlands, why it's so good, is since there's so many other great options for getting around, there isn't a lot of traffic, which helps in keeping the cortisol levels down. So overall, I think there is a lot we can also learn about how the Dutch design their infrastructure for cars, because it is definitely better there. But after dropping the car off, I went to the top of a parking garage to check out the view. And this is when I actually borrowed that cowboy bike and toured around the city. But there it is. That's it. This is the bonus video for the series of the bike trip in the Netherlands. I really hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching this bonus video. Thank you for watching the series. I can't believe how much attention it did get. Honestly, when I first put out the video, the first video, this was supposed to be just a one-off thing. I was like, I'll just throw it out there because I felt like making it. People seemed to respond to it and liked it. So I like the way it turned out. I think I learned a lot, and I'm probably going to use that format in the future for different places I visit. But anyway, with that, my name is Nick. Thanks for watching.